Well, Lee, it's been a crazy 12 months or so. You've been involved for around about 12 months or so now. There's been a lot of change on the field and off the field in this last 12 months. All the dramas that went on last year, which we're definitely not going into once more. But catching up this afternoon, got a special announcement in terms of the club now moving forward and behind the scenes. But before we look too much into that, going to just discuss obviously what you've sort of done in the last 12 months, what the club's done in the last 12 months, and how that's going to help us future-proof for the obviously for the coming years for this club. Firstly, let's discuss on the field though. It's been up and down 12 months. Muzz has described it exactly as that he expected that blip in the middle of the season, but the start and the end, fantastic 2025.
Yeah, obviously Muzz is an experienced coach. He knew that blip was coming. From me, I was just riding on the high, probably the same as the fans. I didn't expect a blip. I think the lads were fit, they were strong, they were ready to go. Enthusiasm, they're playing in front of the friends and the family. And yeah, really impressed with the start. The lads got us a game against Warrington, which was exceptional for the club. And like Mitchell Todd coming from Carlow League last year to playing against like some of the superstars of Warrington, like what an experience. But obviously the blip hit, and I think Jordan Burns going down against Town so early on in the year, like Jordan's a massive influence in the team. He's a leader, he gets them fired up, like just his presence changes the team, and I think we've seen that when he's come back as well. But even with the blip, you look at some of them results, 2 points to Town, who are an experienced championship team essentially, through a Durham Park. Was it 4 or 6 points to was it Swinton or Rochdale?
First league game.
4 points to Rochdale. We drew with Midlands, who were absolutely flying at the time, and we just got a point for that. So I think I looked at it the other night, and if we'd have got about 12 or 13 extra points in them 4 games, instead of 8th position, we're now 4th.
Yeah.
So although it was a blip in the middle, for all them amateur lads coming into the professional game and a brand new team apart from one person, which essentially is a brand new team because it is to him, like, what an incredible season. And even the blip, like the blip is where we thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
Close misses, but sandwiched in with that fantastic start and the fantastic finish. And I said to the board, I was like, we will have to find win and pay against North Wales. I just felt it in my heart. They were the league winners coming here in such great form. But it's the last game of the season. The friends and family are down. Presentation night. They don't want to sit in there getting awards when they're being beaten.
Yeah.
So I knew that was coming. I could just sense it, which is mental, isn't it? You're going against the league leaders who haven't just won the league, they've demolished people in the wake, and then we beat them on the last game of the season. But doesn't that set us up well for next year?
Yeah, absolutely, and I wish I had your confidence going into that North Wales game, because you mentioned about them being champions. They've demolished pretty much everyone in front of them, and you expected them wanting to come up here to finish the season on a high. Fantastic second half performance from the lads in particular, and able to get the 2 points. You mentioned the presentation evening. Season sort of bookended on the field, started with off the field events with the season launch, which I think we were all took by surprise how many people were in the room on the evening. I know at times we were planning to host it in here because we weren't too sure how many people turned up, and then we absolutely completely filled next door. Same again on Saturday for the presentation evening. 2 fantastic events, which I know now with the big screen coming on board, marquee coming in, we're hoping to have more and more events, but it shows what can be done when we hold big, hold events like that. We've had some fantastic events throughout the season as well that Frenchie's been able to put on. Just hoping for more and more of them moving forward. Yeah,
and I think that's credit to the lads. Like, that room was full of their friends, their family, the supporters that they've given so much to throughout the season. They've come because they think they owe it to the lads because of how they've performed on the pitch, 100% effort. And like, I sat down with Owen McCarran. I sent the feedback, even though I had nothing to do with the club essentially last year. I had a lot to do with the Aussies and the lads coming in to use my gym. I was trying to look after them as much as I could. So I sat down with them all at the I knew I wanted to be involved in the club. I tried to get involved with the club last year, but it just didn't happen for other reasons. And I sat down with Owen in Costa, and I was like, tell me what we can improve, what can we do better. So the longest day of our lives with the pre-season, that come from Owen, something he's done in Australia. He said about the presentation night, but you look at the presentation night, last year we were in dire straits, all them lads were leaving, like there was only Connor going to be staying. It was just a different situation. And it was like, you can't really sort of compare them, I don't think. But the positive vibes in that room, like how long did you try and have to shush people to start the presentation? There's about 10 minutes of shushing people.
It was, and I think that was because of the positive energy in the room. Obviously, the season that the club's had, the end to the season, and then that second half, 40 minutes, I think people were just so much on a high. The lads were so much on a high that, we were discussing before the game, or, when's this presentation going to take place, what times, etc. And when we sort of told them the times, they were like, oh, that's a little bit sort of late. But then I think they were able to ride that energy so much that, they were able to have a few beers, come and talk with the fans that had stayed down. And I think by the time we got to 6:30, they were like, can we not just have another 20 minutes just sort of cracking, because we haven't had a chance to catch up with anyone. And I think that was just so much the attitude on Saturday, that they were able to ride that high, and it really stayed in throughout the room, right throughout the night. And it was a fantastic night, and like I say, hoping to have more with these events coming forward in the next few months, going into next season as well. Yeah,
we've got loads planned. My involvement with the club this year, and looking at the financials, it's very, very obvious that we can't run the club on home games.
Yeah.
Especially this year with 9. You probably couldn't have run it last year with 13. And we've had 9 home games this season. And you look at that and think, like, we know roughly how much we get on a home game. All them home games is roughly half our playing budget. So it's like, we need to do more. Yeah. And we've got an events committee now. I put an ad on Facebook, a post on Facebook, asking if there's anybody who wants to get involved with it. We've got 5 people in that group, really, really keen, wanting to progress stuff, wanting to put some events on for the fans that they're going to come and be proud of. So getting that extra help and support in there is fantastic. We're going to be producing event management plans, getting a template of that for the ground. So if somebody's wanting to put an event on here, then get in touch with us. We've already got the bulk of the work done for them, and we will work with them to get the event put on. Because we had the Cumberland Council event on, the Health Wellbeing Day the other week, and we had 2,100 people. And where else in Whitehaven can you get that many people in a safe, controlled environment, and have a day like that? You can't.
In the town centre as well.
In the town centre.
Look, I was up in an event a few years ago. Chris Miles played up at the stadium, but you're out of the stadium, you're out of town. Yeah. There's no bus route that time of night. By the time it finishes, you're relying on taxis getting picked up. Where you have the event here, if it's an evening event, it's a 5-minute walk into town. Yeah. And like you said, being able to host people safely. And in previous years, I mean, we're talking nearly 20-ish years ago now, 17 years ago since we held Status Quo. There was the Soup in the Sticks a few years ago as well. So there's scope there that if you can bring more of them in and bring them in the event, it's not just bringing money into the club, it's bringing potentially world famous knowns into the town and boosting the economy right around the town as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody can benefit from this stadium being busy. That's the thing. They're not going to stay here all night. They have to go at some point. Our neighbours, the miners, they have to walk past their bar, so they're going to get more people in. So everybody should benefit by us doing more as well. And as a club, it just makes us self-sustainable that when we have the home games, that's just an added bonus, and we can use that on a bigger playing budget. We can use it to improve the ground, and it just sort of future-proofs ourselves a little bit.
Sustainability, which is a big buzzword within Rugby League at the moment. I was coming on from a game I covered on Sunday for Radio York, actually, and I was going through the stations to see what Rugby League coverage is on. I was listening to Radio Leeds on the way back just to see what had been going on with there, and they had the Keithley orders in. and they were going on about sustainability, and that was a big buzzword for them. They've come in, they mentioned the 9 home games, and they've been big talkers of IMG and that, and how that maybe isn't going to work. But there's been a big talk of, well, that isn't going to happen for the moment. That isn't changing overnight. So we've got to look in our other ways, and they're now looking at events similar to that, and they're looking at the sustainability, trying to essentially make this a 7-day-a-week business.
Yeah.
And the rugby only having a small part of that, but a very big part of it in terms of, you know, the match day experience and everything. But you need a lot more to marry up with that to ensure that this club remains open for the next 75 years, as it has been for the last 3/4 of a century.
Absolutely, and 95% of our outgoings is players' wages, match games. So we need to make more revenue streams coming in, and then that 95% we can throw more at it and get it bigger, and build the club up like at a sustainable pace. I've seen a few people say, we're in championship next year and we need to spend a lot of money on players. We have a plan, and we're not going to deviate from that plan. And that plan for next year was to try and be a top 4 team, where
in League One.
League One. So the way things are going at the minute, the RFL's sort of preferred choice is a 21 team league. So we'll be seeded 19th when we go in. So for us, there's 11 championship teams if 2 go up. So number 12 will be league winners on League One. So 12 to 16 is where we just need to get to.
If you're looking to to what
that needs to be our minimum. 12 to 16th position is top 4 League One. If we get 12, we've won the league. And then with that, we can just keep creeping up positions. Like, how many times have you seen teams get up into the championship team, spend a load of money, and then they're plummeting back down because they've overspent? Because you're mixing it with the bigwigs. And the way the RFL's proposing to do it, we won't be playing them top 4 teams, 5 teams. So it stops the blowout scores. It stops the clubs having to throw loads of money into it to try and compete with them, because you're not competing with them yet. But as you progress, you will then. It gives you a chance to come from the bottom and build. So it's going to be a lot better.
And there's going to be more news on that in the coming months once Super League's decided who will be the 13th and 14th team, which is...
In the meeting with the RFL, there was just so much uncertainty still. They're having the meeting. They obviously need to decide if anybody's going to Super League. They said if the financial requirements aren't met, they won't. So it's still in and out a lot.
So there's a good chance we might end up with more than 21 teams, you think? Potentially. Do you know the way you're talking? We obviously, we're all talking about 21 teams.
They've already made that decision where it's going to be one entity to make sure that everybody's getting 13 home games. But if they're not financially stable to go up to Super League, then it's just more in it. But the good thing about having the 21-man team league is if somebody wants to come into it from NCL or a different league, they can just come in and they just work their way up the league. If somebody drops out like the Cornwall did, it just moves up and the fixtures are changed. So these uncertain times for rugby league clubs, I think it was sort of mentioned that there's no magic answer to it.
No.
And everyone in the room agreed there's no magic answer. But we have to start somewhere. And it might be awful, but it can't be any worse than what it is now.
Can't be any worse than only having 9 home games.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to this announcement that the club has got this afternoon, and why we're here to talk. And there's going to be some changes at a boardroom level. I believe some people leaving, some people coming into the club. What's the headlines? What's going on?
Yeah, so obviously I've come in this year, well, as a strength and conditioning coach initially. And even that was a lot of time commitments compared to what I'm used to. I think fans don't realise that commitment the coaching staff and the players have. 2 hours a night, twice a week, sometimes in on a Saturday for a captain's run, playing on a Sunday, and if they're away, that's the whole Sunday gone.
Yeah.
And that was a big commitment for me. Come on board initially to do that. Then, obviously, I'm decent on social media. I've got my graphics designer, Lee Riley, there. So that job for you doing the social media is a massive job for one person.
Yeah.
So I've come on to help start supporting you with that. You are the rugby guy. You talking about the rugby. You know more about the rugby. I'm the guy that sort of tells the little stories of the community and the like behind the scenes stuff rather than the rugby. And my graphic media guy Lee has been doing graphics for us both. So then that come in, and then I was getting invited to the board meetings, sort of having an input into that. And then Dennis, who was the financial director, stood down due to ill health. So then I ended up doing the banking, the financing, the financial planning. And then I've always had a lot of barriers because I'm not a director.
Yeah.
I'm just Lee, the volunteer from the club, trying to ask for bank things in with the bank. So there's been a lot of roadblocks for me to get the best from what I'm doing. And a lot of the existing directors this year have had really bad health, a lot of them. Terry and Alan have already stood down. They've both had bad health. Still down here helping out and stuff. And the other board members, I think there's 3 left, they've been struggling. One's been working away full time. They just haven't got the time to put into the club. And to be honest, they've put a lot of time into the club in the past. So we've all had a discussion and we thought it was a time for new people to take the club forward. Fresh outlooks, different perspective, trying new things that might not have been done in the past. So there's been a change of guard. Myself is coming on as a director, Ian Lowry, and Craig Calvert will be the director of rugby. We've got David Seeds coming on as an associate director. Still got Grant Taylor there as an associate director. He's always been there in the background helping. And obviously Tommy Johnson, Mr. Whitehaven himself. Tommy would be fantastic on the board, but he's 80-year-old. Like, because he's so fit and he does so much around the club, we forget he's 80-year-old.
I was having this conversation last week and he said, "Oh, well, I'm 80 now," and I jumped up.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation like, you know, ourselves and like Jason and such things, and we was like, "Sorry, Tom, how old?"
It's my.
You just because he looks great, but yeah, he's 80, so he doesn't want to take on too much responsibility.
And he's still there as an associate director because everybody respects his opinion, and he's been here that long. He knows about everything, so he's definitely a person to get into the meetings to ask his opinion on stuff. And then we've asked another couple of people, so we're just waiting back on them. But we see this as just an opportunity to sort of grow the board a bit, get some younger people involved, people with creative ideas. This is a massive job, like this club, to do everything right, as well as progress the club, pay the bills. It's a massive job, and if the more of the right people we can get around that table to make decisions, the better for the club, really.
And it's great to see more people coming on board. So obviously some familiar names in there. The likes of Ian Lowry, who's a familiar face, especially here in the Sponsors Lounge, round on a match day. Been a fan for years and years and years. Craig coming on as director of rugby. She's done an interview with Craig at the start of the year. For one reason or another, we never got it out there, but he spoke so passionately regarding, you know, his outlook in terms of him coming onto the board, wanting to help build the squad as it was at the time with Moz and with Gus and Ashy there, Ashy there as well. That it's great to see that, you know, a Hall of Famer as well coming back on board. Another Hall of Famer in David Seeds, who's yet again still had a bit of an import, was involved the season before as it is now when, you know, he coming on board with when Kyle had took over, and he's very often down here with me on a match day doing the commentaries. So it's great to see these people wanting to get back involved and give something back to a club. They've had so much from over the years, so much enjoyment from the fans, from the terraces. Seedsy, obviously, in terms of being part of a coach as well. It's great to see them want to come back on board and now give back in the roles they're going to be in.
Yeah, and to be honest, like Craig has essentially been doing a director of rugby role anyway, so it's a natural thing of like, look, you're doing that job anyway. If you got that title, it just gives him a bit of a title for what he's doing. Yeah. Him and Les Ash with the recruitment this year has been absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. To get all them lads to trust us, to buy into what we're creating and sign up for us when we had one person there late on in the season is incredible. Like, I would verge on miracle. And it isn't just that they've just grabbed who they can. Of if you stick your hand up, play for Whitehaven, you can come play for Whitehaven. All them lads that they've got are incredible. Every single one of them has bought into this club and they love it. They're playing with the mates. Because they're coming from the amateur game, they've never had money before, like for playing rugby. They've been playing for free. Mitchell Todd, when we were doing contract negotiations, didn't even ask how much money he was getting. He just put his hand up and said he would sign. Yeah, he absolutely loves it.
If I'm right in thinking, I think he didn't ask for that much. All he wanted was a name on his back of his shirt. It's one I've heard.
Well, to be fair, can you blame him?
Yeah, and to be fair, that's obviously something he didn't have this season until later on.
But the problem with Mitch, he's coming late in the season. Pre-season. We had quite a big team, so all the lockers had gone. So he didn't have a locker. He was sat on a bit of wood in the middle of the thing. Obviously, when we've offered him his contract, Elgram are turning things around in like 8 weeks. So he's had to wait for 8 weeks for his top to come. So, yeah, but he still loves the club. Yeah. So you look at them lads, and even seeing the faces on presentation night, they're all buzzing for each other. And it's just a bunch of lads playing with the mates, and that's why it's so special, I think. And you look back in history of our team, all the best teams we've had is a strong contingent of local lads with a little mix of usually Islanders and New Zealanders mixed in, and it creates something special because they're working hard for each other. You've got that sustainability of, you can take that team we've got now, if we look after them, 10 year. Yeah. And how many times in rugby league do you see now people doing longer than a year's contract? You don't see it very often.
Especially at our sort of
level. Yeah.
Especially Championship in League One. And mentioning Mitch and Jacko are the two we've been announced so far, 2-year deals. So you can start to plan. You're not going in, say, even in going into it so early into a season, maybe in May or June, going, well, you stay next year, and you stay next year. You can plan now, and that can hopefully give that sustainability to a playing squad that can help them push forward for the next couple of seasons. Because next year is going to be a tough task going up against some of them. Yet again, going against the top sides in what was League One, but the bottom end of the sides of the Championship, which we've seen in previous seasons, is such a gulf. So to be able to give that confidence and sustainability to the squad that we're now, hopefully, majority of them stay in, majority of them decide to stay. Yeah. And you can put that core again for another pre-season, more learning as they're still doing a lot of them at this level, and that can be pushed forward. We mentioned obviously about people coming onto the board. There's going to be some departures as well of people who've been involved with the club for a number of years and have had the club at heart. They've decided to take that step back. Yeah, and
the dedication, like I know how much hard work it is in the limited time I've been. So for them guys to be here all that time and put that time, effort, and a lot of money into the club, like we just have to thank them for that. And they've right now they've got the heart of the club because they know they can't commit to where they need to be at the minute, and they know bringing some younger, fresher people in will make the club better. So they have took that decision themselves to sort of change the guard as such. But the club wouldn't be here without them guys. And directors right through time. It's a thankless job.
Yeah.
You're either smashing it and riding the high, and as soon as there's sort of little blips, it's hard. And the central funding from RFL, back when they were getting all the money from Sky and different broadcasters, you're probably getting like 300 grand from them. This year we got like 30. So it's like that 300 grand, our playing budget's 180. So it would have played for all the playing budget and a little bit in the bank to help us grow the club. So it's just getting harder and harder. So hats off to all them fellas, and I'm sure all the fans will thank them for the time and efforts at the club.
And that's what it's all about, because you mentioned those that are leaving. They've helped the club through a difficult period. Some, you mentioned the one that's torn away full time. We all know who we're on about when we mentioned that, who's been away full time and been here a long time. Steered the club through a lot of troubles over the last few years, and if it wasn't for that particular person, probably wouldn't be away in Rugby League at the moment.
Well, definitely wouldn't. Obviously, I've got privy to the financials, and I don't think I know anyone who could put that type of money in to keep the club going. Yeah. And when you're putting that money into this club, it's not an investment. You're not thinking...
You're not expecting a return.
No.
Let's say that.
And you look at our shareholders, like, every time we sort of sold shares, it's when the club's been in a downfall, and it's like, we need to sell some shares to keep the lights on. So all them people who's bought shares for the club, they haven't bought them as a bit of a investment with the pensions and stuff. They bought it to help the club. So that's why we sort of thought it was really important to have a regular AGM for the shareholders, to let them know what's going on with the club and get some input from them as well, because them guys have supported us when we needed it.
You mentioned about the events. I know there's a lot sort of planned, more short term. We're going to be hosting an event for the Super League Grand Final. I know the plans to put the test matches on. What, sort of not a plea to the fans, but I suppose it is a plea really, in terms of let's back these events. Let's get, the marquee, with the debut of the big screen, which obviously was going to be used an awful lot more next season on game days. Let's back these events. Let's back the club. Let's help us through a period where there is no games, there's no income coming in through the gates.
Yeah, I think you can look at it one way like that, but I've seen in the past where we've been putting on our socials and saying to fans like, this is down on you lot, you need to come, you need to do this. But I think as a club, we just need to keep creating something special. We don't have to ask them to come down, they want to be part of it, they can see see the video of the presentation night. Yeah. People want to be a part of that. So for me, it's like create the noise, create that buzz, get all the fans happy, all the fans talking about it, and they want to come down, they want to support us, put some deals on in the drinks and that, like look after them. And I think if we can nail that, the fans will just buy into it and be a part of it.
What's the plans now for 2026? You mentioned about blood coming in, new blood coming into the club. Where is, now that yourself and others are coming to the club, what is the short, medium term of where this club, you want to take this club for the next 1, 2, 3 years? Yeah, and on and off the field.
Yeah, so we've been working. I think the News and Star printed that we had this 3-year plan at the start of this season. I don't think we've had a 3-year plan. That was Muzz's 3-year plan for the playing squad, of build the squad, coach the squad, and the gradual progression. And I think that was the same. Year 1, see what people's got, see what everyone's about. Year 2, aim for top 4 of the League 1. Year 3, try and get promotion. So that hasn't changed. So, like I said before, regardless of what the league looks like next year, we're sticking to that plan. We're not going to try and find a heap of money and get all these ex-Super League players in to try and push to win it. We're just progressing and making it sustainable. So we're getting better each year, but the club's growing, the foundations are solid, and we don't break them. And I think what we're going to, I've been like working alongside like a business advisory group. This is a panel of business leaders, business owners that are sort of helping me with the business. But I class this as a business.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be run as a business. Yeah. So we've been producing a 3-year plan. So part of the events in October, November in the Marquee, we're going to present the 3-year plan to fans, and I think it's something they'll get excited about. And for me, you look at long term, a lot of our youth are going down to scholarships, academies, and that's great if the parents have got a little bit of money for, like, you know how much petrol is now driving down to them academies. Yeah. I was talking to my friend, his little fella's in the scholarship, and he's having to go down four times a week. And it's like, that is a massive commitment. Like some families, like I used to have to walk from Moorrow to Egremont to play under 11s. Like, we didn't have loads of money to drive down to Yorkshire and Lancashire. Yeah. So for me, like I used to play for this club at academy level a long time ago. It was when Stan Martin was the coach, who just lost. I was playing academy at that time, I think 1998, 99. I was actually brought in by David Barnes to smash Mark Stamper, who was actually a director. That was my job. As soon as Mark Stamper gets the ball, get him. And I loved that, like representing my hometown, and the group of lads that was there, Graham Calvin, Lee Rutherford, like it was a passionate thing to represent your town. Like, we absolutely loved it. So I would love, future-proof, to get to that point where we built a sustainable club. Our first team's flying. Muzzer's desperate for a women's team. So having a women's team, men's team, an academy team, I think would be absolutely fantastic. That is the end goal for me. And I think for next season, like 2024, we had Carol Morgan doing all the community stuff. Yeah. She had the lads going into the schools, summer camps. Like, she absolutely smashed it. Yeah. So we've lost Carol from doing that, and we need to do that again, because they're our future. Going into the schools and the camps, like them Aussies in 2024 were amazing with the kids. I took Owen and Lockie into my wife's school. Kids absolutely loved them. Yeah. And I had nanas and mums and dads ringing me, texting me, when's the next Whitehaven game? The kids want to come down. They created that excitement. So community foundation for next year. There's a heap of plans, and what we'll do, we'll present them in October. It's going to be a free event where all the fans can come down. We'll present the 3-year plan. They can ask questions, and no one's bad. Like this is years of transparency, openness. We've got nothing to hide going forward, and I think the fans need to know that. Like, this is where we're at. This is realistically where we can get to next year. Realistically, year 2. Realistically, year 3. But it's not something where it's going to be like next year. It's going to be absolutely mental. We're going to be here. We're going to have millions of pounds, but it's a sustainable way to get us to where we should be. You look at back in history of like the 2005 team and the history of the club, that's where we need to be. We need to be pushing for that top again.
And how great would it be to try and replicate something like that? But of course, as you said, it's not going to happen overnight, and that's where you need the buy-in as well, the understanding that we've got these plans. Muzzer's got his plan in place, as you mentioned, on the field. The club's now going to have its plan in place off the field, but something like 2005 potentially isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to take years and years of planning. And you've just mentioned about Stan Martin there, and you mentioned, unfortunately recently we lost Stan. A lot of people will credit that 2004, 5, 6 era with the work Stan was putting in 10 years prior, and it's about laying the foundations now to ensure that 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the line that you can still have something pushing up towards similar to what we had then.
Yeah, and why can't that be possible? When you look at the local talent we have, we just need to look after them. We need to nurture them. And I think this season, when we've sort of committed to play that players insurance, like we pay $2,000 a month out for players insurance, like there's no other clubs outside the Super League that do that. But that is our commitment to these players. Like I heard all sorts of rumours like, oh, the lads haven't got paid, and the lads are being paid like we cannot, as a club, not pay them lads. On that last Friday of the month, if them lads aren't paid, the club's finished. Like there's absolutely no question of that getting done. Like them lads have put the trust in us, and that's massive to me. Like the fact that it was 26 lads signed for us, like put the trust in us after the 2024 season. Like they could have quite easily just said no. And I've seen a few of our fans say, oh, it's only 1 year contracts. Would you want to sign for our club? Like
in that position we were in 12 months ago.
The position we were in 2024, no one's going to come to us and sign for 2 year or 5 year deal. Like it's a brand new team, brand new coach. They want to see what the coach is like. They want to see if they get looked after. They want to see what the fans are like, how supportive the fans are, and then make a decision on that. And I think the fact that Jack and Mitch have signed up for 2 years sort of speaks volumes.
Lee, it's been a fascinating insight to what has been going on for these last 12 months, yourself and others, and what's been going on behind the scenes as well as on the field, and what the plans are for this club as a whole, both on the field and off the field, for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, however that much would be. As you've mentioned, there's going to be a big fans event, maybe on that grand final night, maybe something slightly different, where we're going to have more of this conversation, as you mentioned, an opportunity for fans to come down and ask questions. So there's more on that. Next few weeks as well, there's going to be a lot more in terms of the 2026 squad. It's shaping up to be an exciting time in the off-season. You don't say that an awful lot.
Yeah, obviously we've got a base now, haven't we? I'm not going to give too much away, but if you did take all that team we've got now, sprinkle in a little bit more experience, like what sort of performances we've got, like you look at the performances we've got this year, never ever any lack of effort, just sometimes that little lack of direction, and they'll learn that thing, and you bring some more experience in. I think it's an exciting prospect for 2026, new league, new board, bit of a change in the team, bit of a sprinkle of experience, and a coaching team that's now found their feet with it, and they're going to push on a lot harder than what they did last year.
Lee, thank you very much, and like you say, exciting times ahead.
Yeah, cheers, Jordan.